So you've been kind of defining this as we've gone, but B.E.A.N.S, B-E-A.N,
Yes.
is behavior enablers, artifacts, and nudges. And so these are kind of like the toolkits to innovate on a particular area of the business, right?
So they're the kind of the tool to help you do that behavior over and over again. So if in your business you want people asking what if, or being curious, challenging the status quo, then you could put in place a bean that will help you to see that behavior show up more on your team.
Yeah, very cool. So is there a possibility of being overload?
Yeah.
Like trying to solve too many things at once. How do you go about employing
I
these?
love that question. And I think there definitely is. So I think you want to start with, let's go big, let's brainstorm, but then let's tie it back and say, okay, what are the experiments that we want to run? What are some things that we might do top down, like one or two, for example? One of the things that DBS did is they have what's called their culture radar. So they said, here's where we're running experiments in teams. If they go well, then we'll move it up to like the department level. If that goes well, then we'll move it up to, the division or company wide. I'll just give you an example of one from there, which was more of like a top down. So as they were saying, we want to move from being a stodgy old bank to being, they referred to themselves as damn bloody slow. And they said, we want to be a startup. We want everyone to be a startup. And you're like, that's a huge gap, right? So how's that going to work? What Paul
And
discovered,
for context, can you share how many employees do they
I think
have?
that was it's about 28,000. Yeah. So,
28,000. All right. So think of a 28,000 person company wanting to be a startup. All
and
right. I'm
going
sorry I
from damn
interrupted.
bloody
Continue.
slow.
Yeah.
So what Paul discovered when they did this whole thing, they said, we want more equal share voice, collaboration. One of their biggest blockers is their meeting culture, just terrible culture, right? Like start late, only the senior person talks, like no decisions made. And Paul was almost sad. He's like, that's such a mundane thing to focus on. But they focused on it. They brought in this bean called Mojo, again, another acronym, but meeting owner, joyful observer. And they have little cards, little reminders in the meeting room. And I can tell you, because I've been there, they do this in every meeting. So there's always a meeting owner who's responsible for the agenda, making sure it starts and ends on time, that there's equal share of voice. And then there's a joyful observer. So if you're the joyful observer, you're looking to me and saying, is Natalie really doing these things, and taking some notes. And at the end of the meeting, you give me feedback in front of everybody else. Did a great job here, could do more here. So if you think about it, the behavior enabler is that checklist of things to do. The artifact and the nudge is like the little card. And also, I know you're going to give me feedback in front of everybody. And then the stories kind of went around the organization of where the CEO got feedback, and they saw their engagement scores, especially when it came to collaboration, feeling heard, go up. And it's been really successful for them. So that's an example of like a top-down one that tackles, I think, a problem a lot of companies have, bad meetings.